our dryer, this light kept coming on just about every load, and it would frequently take 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 or more cycles to dry clothes. Other than that, there weren't any symptoms. I kept taking it apart in here, vacuuming it out, cleaning it out, pulling it away from the wall, vacuuming it out from the inside, and even climbing up in the attic and the ducting from the attic down to the back of the dryer, cleaning that out. And yet again, that would come on and the clothes wouldn't dry, and you keep running cycles. Well, then we developed a noise in the drum, and I took the whole thing apart. If you saw that video, I'll post a link, and vacuumed out the inside and put it all back together, and the noise didn't go away and this didn't go away. And I finally broke down and bought the wheels, which you're going to see me put on, and lo and behold, this is gone and it's drying in one cycle now. And let me tell you what I learned from doing this, and you're probably going to want to do that if you're getting this symptom. When those wheels on the drum start to fail, the drum doesn't turn as fast as it needs to. That in and of itself is a problem, but also the fan that blows the air through it is tied to that drum speed. So when the drum slows down, the fan slows down, less airflow triggers this, but also less tumbling and less airflow means longer dry times. So let me show you how I took this apart, fixed it, and we're back to running like a brand new dryer, and it's a little over 10 years old. Of course, always unplug it before you open up anything in here. Get this top cover off. There's actually just 3 screws. You see I've marked the ones do not remove because I wasted my time removing a bunch of those when it's actually there, and there. Get the 3 screws removed, slide it back, and lift it off. And you see it's got weights in the back. I'm going to give the quick summary. So you got 3 screws across the back to remove the top lid. You've got 2 longer screws in there, and then this panel pries off. I recommend using a plastic pry tool. Start and pry the top off. The whole panel will pop down like this and then lift off, and you can actually just set it up on here. You don't actually have to completely remove it. That will expose 4 screws to here and to here. And then you have those 2. So 6 total screws holding on this front panel. I recommend you remove 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, because it can fall out and it kind of tips down. Disconnect the electrical and lift it up and out. Tip that down. There's an electrical connector right there. It just pulls out. There's no release tabs or anything. That tip down to about a 45-degree angle, roughly, and then lift it off. And this is the heaviest piece. Everything else is very light, including the drum. You need to remove this piece. Obviously take your lint filter out, but you still need to get this piece out. There's 3 screws, 1, 2, and the one over here that's on the left side facing the dryer. You can see there's 2 screws there. You want to remove that one. And then one in there, and one in there. Once those 3 screws are removed, just lift this piece out. The screws will generally stay in here, and then they will fall out once you have it out. So you want to make sure you pay attention to where those screws are. The other thing, you can see this has been washed recently. This thing accumulates a ton of lint, so I typically take it out and garden hose it whenever it's out. But I just did that the other day when I was diagnosing what was wrong with this. So it's clean now. So I'll put this down sitting like this so the screws don't fall out, but just remember that they will fall out at the worst time, and they're tiny and it'll be hard to find. After you remove the plastic piece from the inside, you can remove this piece. It's just 2 screws, one on each side. And then it just kind of rustles itself out like that. And again, this is one you can hose out. You get all this lint and stuff that builds up in here. This thing and ours, about once a month, will totally fill up with lint, even though we're changing out the lint screen every time. And then the 2 screws, I recommend taping them to here so you can keep track of all the different screws. I'm going to disconnect this, which this one just pulls off. There's no release tab. It's just kind of difficult. You may need to get a plastic tool in between there and just kind of wedge it off. It will come off, just not when I'm holding the camera. And then you have this electrical, and it has a release in there that you press and those separate, but you want to get those next. So with that disconnected and this disconnected, which this one was a press on there, now you can remove this metal piece. I do recommend that you get some kind of puncture resistant gloves or something. This is very sharp metal. It's prone to cut you. Anyway, you're going to remove 4 screws and then lift it kind of up to clear that and out. And remember, it's holding the drum, so you're going to have to kind of wrestle with the drum to free it. There's 2 rollers in the front connecting it to the drum that have to kind of a delicate dance with it to get it out. So we're going to lift up. I'm going to push the drum up. Get this piece out. And since I'm wearing gloves, I can handle it without worrying about getting cut. I think the official method of removing the drum involves removing all of these pieces, including disconnecting a bunch of electrical here to remove this. But I'm going to show you, you can actually do it if you remove that screw, and that screw. This panel can move up just enough to clear the drum, and I'm all about saving time and work. If you look in here, you can see that the belt wraps around the tensioner and then the motor, and you just need to unthread it and then pull the belt up on the top here so that you kind of have like a handle. You need to keep it snug, because as soon as you let go, it's going to get caught back in all of that stuff. You can clear the drum from the back rollers by tipping it up and pulling out, and then you should have just enough free play in this front here. See, now we should have enough free play to get that out of here. And the drum is amazingly light. All the pieces are removed. But you see the belt always wants to get caught again on that roller. Hard to tape it up, but just don't want to stick. My kit comes with 4 of the rollers. You see that one's totally broken off. That's the one that went bad. And it also comes with the tensioner and a new belt. This is the motor. So the belt goes around the motor, and then the tensioner comes up and presses it this way. And there's only one way it can go on and work. And then if you haven't, like mine, I've already cleaned everything, but I recommend you get in and vacuum out all the lint from everywhere that you can get in, including coming in from the back and vacuuming this pipe, getting in here, vacuuming all that out. Obviously everywhere inside of here, this thing was covered. It was so thick it was almost like insulation. And then I also recommend that you remove the screws that hold down your heating cover. You also have to remove the screw that holds that, and pull those back. And then you can lift this up. It's kind of a wrestling match, but you can do it. Get it up, tilt it up. It's going to clear that tab there, and you can actually remove this top piece, and then you can get in and vacuum out all those grills and get them nice and clean, because this is a fire hazard when it's all clogged up with lint, and ours is totally clogged up with lint. Now, unfortunately, to get to those wheels in the back, I'm going to have to remove that panel there. So we've got screws that hold it on. Looks like a couple of them, and then I should be able to take that whole panel off. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, engineers are the worst people in the world. So to get this piece off, you have to turn the dryer back around and unscrew 4 screws from the back. And then you have to wrestle it off of the heating element, which I ended up loosening the front screws of the heating element to get it out. But just overly complicated to get this piece out. Chose the easier route. Squeeze and release there, and then I'll fish that through instead of trying to get behind there and doing it. But they don't want you to have access to any of this stuff. Move this apart. I'm going to go ahead and vacuum out all of the lint and dust that's in there. And same thing with this. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Should be able to remove that piece, and then I can vacuum inside of there, which I'm sure it's clogged up too. And of course, they don't make it where you can vacuum it, so I'll run the hose through there, so I'm sure there's lint in there. This one, that's the totally broken one. This one we'll call save. You see, broken one fell right out. This one nice and tight. So remember that it's got a washer and the washer on this side as well. I'll leave that like that to remind myself. Otherwise the part just pops in. This one has a little bit different washer, so I'm going to switch them out. Use the bigger washers. Bottom these out with the power tool. I'll go back over it with the hand wrench just to make sure they are tight. Cleaned everything, got the new wheels that spin freely. Remember to fish this back through the back. And wear your gloves, this is real sharp metal. My guess is you need to get 1 or 2 screws in the back pretty quick to get it lined up before you do anything else. Even though I have known issues with my idler pulley while I've got this all apart, and since the kit came with one, I'll replace it. Get the spring exactly the same orientation that the original one was, but I don't think that's going to matter as long as that connects. I can tell that spring has better resistance than the old one did. I'll save the old one just in case any issues down the road. Spring tension on it is not as good as this one. The resistance on here is worn out too. Don't forget to reconnect your water line if you have the optional steam. And you see there's 2 access points that I went ahead and popped out. That may be helpful in fishing the belt back around the motor and idler. Put the wheels on the front, the same as the back. Just unbolt and bolt in the new ones. So at this point the hard part's done. I will put the drum back in. So we want to get it over the wheels in the back. Make sure all the cords are still accessible. I recommend snapping this front panel back on, you have a little bit of structure to it. So you go ahead and put the top 3 screws back in. So get them all lined up like shown. And make sure your cords are free and clear, not caught up in anything. You basically want it the same way you found it before you took it apart. I put the belt on after I put the drum in. That's a personal preference. Some people put the belt on the drum and then put the drum in. I just find that the belt gets caught on everything when you do that. Whereas this way, it does not. You do however you want to do it. There's not a right or wrong way. It's just how you get the belt on. I'm not going to be able to show you on camera, but you got to fish it around the motor and then through the tensioner. Hopefully you can see the belt routing now. Next we'll reinstall the front support. And then we'll get it around the drum. Wheels on the bottom. So that the drum spins on those wheels. And push them in. Check, make sure it's spinning. Good time to reconnect your electrical so you won't forget. Two screws on the front, hold it on. Part, fish it into the bottom. There's two little latches. It'll kind of hold for you there. Don't forget to reconnect your electrical. Once you get that plugged in, there's kind of a little snap tab up here, but I wouldn't bet my life on it holding it for you, so you want to get the screws in pretty quick. Two on the inside. The panel fits in the little slots. And clicks into place, and then you got the two bolts. Now at this point you could put the top on and put the steam tray back in and call it done. I would like to test it before, so I'm going to plug it in, turn on the dryer, and make sure that it's spinning and quiet and everything. Let's put it on air dry. And you see we got quiet, and it is spinning fast. It was not spinning that fast before the fix. I will call this a successful fix. Turn this off, unplug from the wall, and then put the top back on, 3 screws across the back, put the steam tray back in, hook up the little vent, and call it a day.